Deshaun Watson has to have a Vince Young type night where he makes his plays with his feet, and they've got to hit the deep ball, which Clemson's done a good job of.
When you're coaching in the national title game, what's the difficulty of getting your guys to play as well as they have throughout the season?
The difficulty now is you're playing 15 games, so you've got to make sure that you balance their mental exhaustion as such and physical exhaustion. So both of these coaches had 11 days to prepare for Monday, and you're coming off of a bowl game where you're emotionally spent, and then you've got to go right back and play for the national championship. So this has become more like the NFL playoffs than college football.
Mack, when you miss coaching? Do you miss coaching?
I miss parts of coaching, and there's parts I don't miss, and I think you could probably figure out what they are.
Mack, both of these teams have really large support staffs. They have a ton of people analyzing stuff behind the scenes. Remember a couple years ago you tried to sort of cap that. What were your concerns about it, and where does this end?
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was the American Football Coaches Association, and I happen to be the president.
Okay.
And the coaches across the board wanted to try to put a cap on it because certain schools like a Rice or a Wake Forest or even an East Carolina, an SMU can't afford 38 assistants or an assistant coach in the weight room for every position. And Jim Grobe said it the best at Wake Forest. He said, I don't care how many they have in recruiting. I don't care how many they have in evaluation. What I would like to have at Wake Forest is the same number of coaches on the field coaching that an Alabama has or a Texas or someone like that. So I do think that a lot of people couldn't afford to even pay the 24 or 26 that the AFCA recommended, so it was dropped and not talked about. What we wanted to do was cap the maximum but add another football coach. We wanted to add a special teams coach for college football and add a 10th full-time coach, and then curb some of the 38 to 50 members that are around now that you're not even sure what they're doing.
Is it too big?
To me, it's too big to be fair to everybody, because all we would be doing is letting those that have money and those that will spend that money in football getting ahead of the others to try to keep some balance in college football.
Coach, when Dabo took the job at Clemson, he came to Texas to see how you ran things. Do you take some pride in what he's been able to accomplish?
I really do. He's been an amazing story for anyone who doesn't start out with all the advantages. He has family issues. He lives in his car with his mom during college. He's a walk-on. Walk-ons a lot of time aren't given any attention. They aren't treated well. He goes to an apartment with his mom. How many kids in college have an experience where you live with mom? I mean, that just doesn't happen. And then he makes the team. Then he starts. Then he gets a scholarship. Then he becomes a coach at Alabama. Then they lose their job. Then he goes into real estate. Then Tommy Bowden calls him. Then Tommy loses his job. He's not a coordinator. It's unheard of for guys who aren't coordinators to be named head coach. And then he finishes the season so well that they name him the head coach. And now here he is with so much success the last few years and playing for a national championship.
Did he show you anything during that visit that you said this is a guy that could win a title or be in contention?
Yeah, I think what he shows all of us is passion. He's got tremendous energy and outstanding passion for kids, and he really doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. He says some funny things sometimes. He says some crazy things sometimes, and people make fun of him. He could care less. I don't even think he pays any attention, which is something that you need at this stage in the game.
You sat with him at the ACC football kickoff. Did he let it out that maybe he had a special team this year? Did he let it?
No, I think he thought he had a special team last year with all those guys that went to the NFL, and then Deshaun got hurt. But I really thought he thought they were really good last year. He told me they were going to be good this year, but they had to replace that offensive line, and that was what was concerning him so much. And then you get Mitch Hyde at left tackle as a true freshman that's sitting out here in Arizona getting ready to block A'Shawn Robinson. Who would have thought that you could win a national championship or get to this point with a true freshman left tackle? So what he's done, he's had issues at receiver. He's had some injuries, some suspensions there. He's had the really young offensive line that just continues to get better, and their offense lets young guys play a lot more than an Alabama or Michigan State high-power offense. But he's made it work, and he hasn't been griping about youth or injuries. He just made it work.
Mack, if you could have won that game